Hey, thanks a lot, Abhilash. It's a pleasure coming on board, and thanks a lot for coming up with a suggestion for this chat. I did get a lot of inquiries offline on LinkedIn, and a lot of people were asking me in terms of how are you managing stress and all. I think times are tough. I think Corona has hit us really hard. It's an unprecedented event for everyone. Is everyone alive right now? Because I think the last major flu was way back in 1918. Not any of us was around at that time. So it's a completely different experience. And I think because of the technology and media and flow of media across the globe, I think the awareness about a pandemic has been the highest in this one compared to any other crisis in the past. So it's quite natural for people to have both positive and negative reactions, more negative than positive. And I think that's the crux of the problem which we'll try and address, because I think the source of stress is negativity. And negativity comes from media. Because when you're locked down, your family is not pushing you into the negative zone, right? It's invariably the information which you get on the television and on the phone, and typically WhatsApp more than anything else, which is basically the source for the negativity. But if I look at the mid to long term, I think the lifestyle change which it's going to bring about in certain sectors in the midterm, which is what we should mostly be worried about. The long term impact is purely going to be financial and mental. And I think that's something which we should be most concerned about. Financial is something which will take time for us to address. It's a mental impact which we need to be most careful about, because to maintain a stable head, to maintain calm, to stay positive is very easy for advising. But when it comes to actually implementing on oneself, it is phenomenally difficult, and there is no second thoughts on that. So if half of you are disbelieving and saying that all this is crap, then yes, maybe it might sound crap, because it's not easy, right? It does require a lot of patience as well. Anytime when you decide that you want to take a positive stance, you need a supportive ecosystem to do that. You need friends who share that positivity. You need your family to support that positivity. You should have flow of information which is positive in nature. And currently, very little of that is happening. We would be anyone in the audience would be very fortunate if even if you have one friend who is like gung-ho and positive. Finding more than one is, of course, even more tougher. So you need to stay calm, allow things to settle down, and keep thinking, keep reading. I think that's what I would emphasize. Other thing which I would want to emphasize is the importance of fitness. I'm glad you talked about my fitness regime, which definitely is very important element as far as staying positive is concerned. A lot of people have talked about immunity being high if you stay mobile and stay fit. Very underwhelming, very not given enough importance. A lot of people have constraints because they're inside the house. But I know friends who have done a half marathon and a full marathon inside their house. So I would not agree that it's not possible to stay mobile when you're locked inside the house. Yeah, I think that it all starts with boosting your own morale. You need to be positive enough to be able to get someone else's morale boosted up. You need to create that positive environment in your family. Be able to explain to your parents who might probably not be able to understand the exact impact of this crisis, depending on how old they are. Being able to explain to your spouse, to your sibling, to your children, making sure that they are not passing on their negativity to you. And then you say, okay, I've kind of sorted my house out, right? I've put my house in order, as they say. And then when you step out and you reach your place of work, you need to be able to carry that positivity to work. When you interact with your colleagues, when you interact with your boss, and when you interact with your team member, as the case might be. Now, as I earlier said, this is very easy to say. To actually implement, it's difficult. And I think it all starts with looking at what's in your control and what's not, right? The crisis is not in your control. To be able to cure patients is not your job. To be able to solve the migrant worker problem is not your job. Yes, you could do your bit in terms of charity. You could do your bit in terms of organizing camps or organizing events where you can help the poor and needy, you definitely should do that. But you can't do that for the whole nation. You can't do it for the whole city as well. Forget about the whole nation. So identify the boundary conditions which you live in, and acknowledge that you have those boundary conditions, and acknowledge that you as an individual have those limitations. So don't shed crocodile tears on migrant workers and come and talk about it for hours together with your colleagues, because you're just further accentuating the negativity which has already been generated. Everyone feels sad about it. I feel sad about it. I'm not joking about it. But the fact is, if I can't do anything about it, let me do my bit as a loyal employee of the organization. Come and do my job. Make sure that I'm not getting corona on me. Making sure that I'm not passing on the corona, and to whatever extent possible, execute the task which my organization is paying me for. If I do that, if I do my job correctly, I can set a great example for others to look at. And positivity need not be through lectures or gyan. Positivity can come through action as well. If you walk into the office with a smile, it does make a difference right away. And then it's all about others taking the cue from you and smiling back in return. I think that's it. I think morale is directly an outcome of mindset,
Yep.
and a mindset is basically driven by thoughts, and our thoughts are driven by what we get as input. And as I said earlier, cut out news, cut out negative information flow on WhatsApp especially, and I think you'll immediately start seeing the results. Spend 2 hours without switching on the TV. Spend 2 hours not watching any content on WhatsApp. You'll automatically start seeing a certain shift in your attitude. And then you just need to pick up an activity which can make you positive, whether it's playing a video game or reading a book or listening to some good music for a while. As you do it for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you extend that time of hours, you'll automatically notice things changing for you. Look, I think that's something which the employee needs to worry. The prospective candidate need not worry about it. Look, you got an offer. There's a date for joining. The date might be adhered to or might be pushed back. It's not something which you can control. You can't go and organize a dharna outside the office of the employer and tell them to stick by the date. It's just not. It won't make sense. What would make sense is for you to utilize that time to get better prepared on your own or take the company's help. So on your own, you could probably read up more about the industry, about the organization, about the changes which are going on in the organization, acquire digital knowledge or digital tools, which invariably are useful. A lot of people resort to digital marketing because it seems to be the most popular course online. You do a course on digital marketing and you kind of feel more confident that you acquired another skill, and which is actually true. There's a lot of demand for digital marketing as a skill. Try and equip yourself with as much information as you can with regard to the organization which you're supposed to join. Number two is you can reach out to the organization, tell them, hey, my joining date is postponed. That's perfectly fine. Why don't you provide me certain learning resources which you would have provided me anyway as a part of joining process, and I could go through them and get myself abreast, and I could save time and not do all that when I join. Number one. If you would like me to connect to a virtual group of fellow joinees who are supposed to join along with me, we could form a team as well, cross-collaborate, maybe do a joint project activity, which will further help the organization in terms of reducing the effort when you actually come on board. The third thing is show sympathy and show understanding, right? A simple message to the HR saying that I do understand that your organization is going through certain challenges from the corona crisis perspective, and we fully appreciate the fact that it's not an easy situation, and we hope that things will be fine. A simple message like that can actually make a big difference in terms of the impact which you're driving towards the prospective organization. It's inevitable. It's more with the personal devices like smartphones and tablets, lesser with television, because television in most of the houses is a family affair. So if all of the members in the family are not watching the same program, then it's unlikely that everyone's TV time would have increased. With regard to smartphone and desktop and laptops, it's inevitable that the time would increase. But then you need to divide the kind of time that you're spending. Right? If it's entertainment, um, I think you should split that entertainment away from a mobile or a laptop and restrict it to a television so that you're watching the screen at a longer distance. The audio is at a further distance. So you're correspondingly reducing the negative impact of screen time on entertainment, which definitely refers to video. If you could reduce some of the video to audio, you're further reducing your exposure to your eyes. So while you will probably have earphones plugged in and you'll be moving around, you would have reduced the screen time for your eyes. The third thing, which is pretty common, is to take frequent breaks. You stay online in front of the laptop or desktop for not more than 25 minutes, and then take a break for about 5-10 minutes to make sure that you can give that necessary rest for your eyes. I think Weber's asked a question with an imposed lockdown of almost 2 months now. It has been seen that people have enrolled themselves in various programs or upskilling using Diaspora courses. Do you believe this can lead to a burnout as it has become more of a rat race now, essentially for being relevant in post-COVID era of higher demand? Yes and no. Yes, it's good to do these courses. No, I don't see any negative thing coming out of it. See, the burnout will be if you're randomly doing courses without any head or tail of why you're doing them, right? So any course, any additional course or any additional source of information which you try to acquire, there should be some correlation to why you're doing that. Or if there is no correlation, suppose you're in the hotel industry and you realize that not only your job is threatened for short term, in the long term as well, you don't think hotel industry is a good industry to be in. Let's assume you are an F&B manager for sake of simplicity, and you decide that you want to get into e-commerce and digital marketing, and you decide to do a digital marketing course so that you can get familiar in terms of how to do digital marketing, and then you can apply for a marketing job in an e-commerce company. So you identified the growth path. You're going to do a digital marketing course. You're going to look at the e-commerce companies which are running right now. You try and make a semblance of which e-commerce companies are doing well, which can be indicated by sales or by the ads which the e-commerce company is publishing, or by the recent news in the news article where that startup actually got funding from a VC, ABC, or whatever, right? So these are sources of information which tell you that that company is doing well. So you have a clear thought in mind that I'm going to do a 2-month digital marketing course because after 2 months I'll be capable enough. And based on my experience in the F&B from a maturity perspective, I'm going to approach an e-commerce company A, B, C, propose to them that I'm interested in getting into digital marketing as a career. I do understand that I don't have a background, but I've gone through this course. And with a small salary cut, if that requires, I would want to enter the e-commerce company to start with a digital marketing role and build a new career. That's sound. But if you randomly do a digital marketing course when you're actually a tax consultant in a CA firm and your job is going fine and there is no near-term or long-term visibility for the tax firm to ask you to start doing digital marketing for their company, you're wasting your time and it's going to lead to burnout. If your job entails in being in sales and going out and meeting new people all the time, it's not going to be easy. Let's admit it. Let's accept it. The minimum thing which you need to do, wear a mask when you are commuting, especially when you're in close contact with anyone, you should be wearing a mask. No doubt about that. Keep your hands sanitized as much as possible. Anytime when you're touching any foreign body, whether it's a railing in the train or a door handle in the Uber or opening the door to a building or any device, any hard surface you're touching, make sure you sanitize yourself immediately after that. Number one. If you can't sanitize right away, make sure that your hand is not touching your mouth or your ears or your nose or your eyes or your, for that matter, any part of your face for that matter, till you get a chance to sanitize. Look, it might sound difficult, but it's actually not. I think we Indians are used to having our hand accidentally touching our face all the time. I think it's time for us to change big time. I think that's one biggest change which we need to adopt. As long as our hands are not bringing the virus from a hard surface or from or even from touching someone else's hand or body and getting it to our face, I think we're sorted. You will not be, getting yourself threatened. That's as far as in person is concerned. And obviously, the hygiene when you get back home is to get your clothes off right away. Make sure you're not touching any surface if your hands are not sanitized. Get in the shower and have a nice hot shower. Make sure you shampoo as well, in case you feel that's also important. You need to do this before you come into physical proximity with any of your family members and make sure that they're safe as well. Ultimately, I know that you can do all this and you might still get affected. Last thing you need to do is pray and just hope that you have God's blessing to keep you safe.